it's Jasper, and today I am hauling these books. Yay! So if you've been watching any of my other videos, you know that I have said a few times I'm trying not to buy any more books until I've finished my TBR shelf, or at least like partially finished it or something along that lines. I have a lot of books I need to read, so I don't need to be buying any more books. But this haul was justified because the books aren't for me. I teach a class of 4 or 5 kids, and something that I thought would be fun as sort of a send-off present because the year is ending as we're going into summertime. So I thought it would be fun to pick up some books that were important to me when I was a young reader, books that got me into reading or kept me reading, and pick up a bunch, lay them out, and then they can kind of pick whatever book maybe is interesting for them. So these books are for my class, and I thought it would be sort of fun to share with you guys the books that I got because they say something about my early reading and things that I read when I was younger, and books were starting to become more and more important for me. So hope you guys enjoy this. Comment down below. I'd love to hear what were books you read when you were younger. And yeah, comment, share, book haul, wazoo. Okay, so first package I've got here has got actually a bunch of books. Yes, these are all used books, I guess I should say. So first package, we have a really fun selection. So first, Alice Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. Oh, and I hate it when they do that. What they've done, they put the barcode right on the front. I hate that. So the first book is Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Very excited about this book. What I like about this edition is it does have some really gorgeous illustrations in it. Tweedledee and Tweedledum. The next one that I have is Fairy Tales by Hans Christian Andersen. I'm really excited about this book. Let's see. Oh, we do have some illustrations. Illustrations are important to young readers. Oh my. This is apparently, I think that's the Emperor with yep, Emperor with no clothes. Yeah. So Hans Christian Andersen, fairy tales. My favorite Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales would be Thumbelina, love Thumbelina, and The Little Mermaid. Beautiful stories. Oh, next. So The Princess and the Goblin, which is my book, essentially. I love this book so much. I first actually saw the movie when I was really little. It terrified me, so I watched it like again and again and again and again, and it shaped my whole world of monsters and goblins. And so when I read The Princess and the Goblin, I loved that book, obviously. And it's got a great sequel, Princess and Curdie. The Tale of Despereaux by Kate DiCarmelo. I've talked about this book before. Yay! No barcode on the front. There is one on the back, but nothing on the front. I love this book. This book is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I've talked about it before. One of the many things that makes the book wonderful are they have gorgeous, illustrations. Ugh. This is a bit of a scary one. You can see it. But I remember getting this book out, I think when I was maybe in grade 4 or 5, something like that. I was in grade school for sure. And I found this book, and it actually had, just like this one does, if you can see, it's got those frayed edges. And I remember pulling it off the shelf in the library and seeing the frayed edges and being in grade school, not realizing that this is something that, publishers, that bookmakers can do, that they make it with frayed edges. I thought it was just a really old book. And I read it like it was a secret treasure, and it is a secret treasure. It's a beautiful treasure, but I was under the impression that it was a very old book, so this is why I picked it and then got to fall in love with it. Lemony Snicket, A Series of Unfortunate Events. I thought this one would be a great book just because it is the first in the series, and so if somebody picks it up and they really like it, then hopefully it'll inspire them to go to the library and get the next one, because they're very small books, so I thought that would be a fun. And barcode. Barcode again. Okay, Charlotte's Web, right, by E.B. White, is a fantastic story. I remember reading this story and crying. This was probably my first sob story. So why did I get it? I don't know. It's important to learn how to cry. Okay, next package we've got here. Oh, by Brian Jacques. I don't know how many Redwall fans there are. There must be 1.5 million. These books were really, really popular. Again, I was in grade school when I found this book and I just loved it. It was amazing. Really great use of accents, characters that the way that they talk is spelled out phonetically instead of, by the correct spelling, and that makes it really fun. Just such a fun narrative, really adventure and gory, and lots of good stuff for children to enjoy. Next package is, George MacDonald, The Complete Fairy Tales. Maybe you can see there's like a giant here. George MacDonald, who wrote The Princess and the Goblin, has an entire collection of fairy tales, and they're really fantastic. If you've never read George MacDonald fairy tales, I highly suggest them. They're so much fun. They're really good. Go out and read them. I have a feeling this is one that I got a bunch of copies of. Okay, next one. Okay, we got 2 in here. Ooh, Pippi Longstocking, which I love, by Astrid Lindgren. Beautiful, beautiful. Those illustrations are so fun. Pippi, Pippi, Pippi. Oh, next one, another great one. This is The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. This book I remember I read in grade 5. And I remember this book so specifically because I hadn't read anything that was quite like this. It reminded me a little bit of Dr. Seuss, in that you have these like wacky different places in the world. It gives you like a map in the beginning, and there's like the Sea of Knowledge, and there's an island called Conclusions, which they have to jump to, and Mountains of Ignorance, and it's full of lots of really cool things. But the thing I remember about this story is that my class was going to be reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We didn't have enough books to go around, so the teacher was actually going to be reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory to us, which obviously takes longer than if you just have the book yourself and you can read it. And so she gave the option to, she was just like, we're going to be reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory out loud, so if anybody would like to be part of the special reading group, I have this box of books, and you guys will go in the other room and you can just read as many books as you like for the time that we're reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And I could not believe this deal. I was just like, man, this sounds like the best thing, so I better like swing up my hand before anybody else volunteers and there's too many kids in the special club. But as it turns out, my grade 5 class was not so enthusiastic, and so 2 other people put up their hand, and so she said, okay, you 3 can go into that room. We took our the box of books, which also had Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, so we read it. Don't worry, we didn't miss out on that awesome book. We read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and then, like very good bookish children, we just kept to our corners and we tore through that box of books. We just read them and read them and read them. And this was one of the books that I read, and I love it. Okay, next one we've got is harder to open. Oh, this is actually a book that I didn't read until I was, might have been my first year of my master's or my last year of my undergrad. It was really way too late to be reading it, but not that it's too late, but Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. This is a beautiful edition. Beautiful edition. No barcode stickers on the front. And again, it has the old frayed pages. Yeah, I don't know if we can see it. Yeah, a little. Okay, next one we've got here. Oh, yes. So this is a story that I kind of realized after I ordered it that maybe I can't offer it to my grade 4-5 students. And I'll explain why in a second. This is The Turnip Princess and Other Stories by Franz Xavier von Schönwerth. Very German name, and I'm a bad German, ancestry child for not knowing how to say that. This is an amazing collection of fairy tales. They're hilarious. They're very gruesome. They are shocking and surprising. But yeah, I'm thinking it's possible it might be inappropriate for my grade 4-5 students because you have taverns and like, yeah, a lot of violence, like maybe too much. I'm not sure about this one, if I'm able to give it to my students, just because certain parents might be a little bit more sensitive about these stories. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with them. I think they're fantastic stories. You could get a kid into reading, but yeah, so this is a maybe on the list. We might have to hold it back. I already have a copy and I already have this copy, so okay, next one here. Oh, guys. Okay, I think I said Charlotte's Web was the first book that I cried in, and this was the second book, and I bawled my eyes out. I can still remember sitting by my door in my bedroom. I was in grade 6 for sure. I was in grade 6. It was a book that I just found in the classroom, and I read it in like a day. And I sat by my door in my bedroom, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried. This is Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls. Oh, it's about a boy and his dogs. And my camera cut me off. It was just like, too much, Jasper, too much about blah, 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 books that made you cry. Anyways, so I didn't realize how much it had cut me off, and not only cut off my, sappy story about how Where the Red Fern Grows made me cry, but also it cut off the last 5 or 6 books. So here to add those books in. So the next book is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. This is a book that is very precious to me because it is a book my mom read to me, and she actually read the whole series to me, and it was a really good kind of mother-daughter bonding thing. And Anne is just a wonderful character. She's really neat and different and energetic and just says wild and crazy things. So Anne of Green Gables is another good one. Next one is The Princess and Curdie by George MacDonald. I had mentioned earlier The Princess and the Goblin. This is the second book to it. It's really fun. It's neat in the way that the first book, The Princess and the Goblin, is primarily about Princess Irene, and the second book, Princess and Curdie, is mostly about Curdie. So it's a really neat kind of adventure story. Then I found Hardy Boy books. Growing up with 4 brothers, I don't know, grew up with shelves of Hardy Boy books, and there was something fun about them. I never got to read Nancy Drew, but the Hardy Boys were there for me. So I got 2 Hardy Boy books, The Tower Treasure and The House on the Cliff. So some good detective fiction. And then the last 2 books I got are from the Chronicles of Narnia series. And I picked out these particular ones because they're books that are, while the whole series is really great, these are 2 books that I really liked, and they also stand alone. The Magician's Nephew is my second favorite, and The Horse and His Boy is my first favorite of the Chronicles of Narnia series. Again, the series is really wonderful, but I thought that these books would be fun because they're books that you can read all by themselves. And if you like them and you want more, then you could read the series. But if not, these work as standalone books. And that is the end of this book haul. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below if there were any books you were surprised I didn't include in the list. If there were books in the list that you also, cried when you read, or there were books that you really loved or maybe didn't like as much. I would just love to share and talk about, what were books that made you a reader? What were books that got you into reading when you were a new reader, a young reader, a first time sort of, graduating from Dr. Seuss kind of reader? All right, share, comment down below, and cheers, guys.